We're going to take a look at episode 2 of Star Trek Picard. Now, before we go anyplace with this, the pilot episode was rated PG, so that was something that we could just watch together, no problem. This episode, on the other hand, was not, so I had to watch it ahead of time, and then I had to make sure that I was very careful what you watched in this particular episode. And I want to say that I find that a little bit disappointing because Star Trek, at least the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, I think, were all shows that you could watch as a family. And now Star Trek is moving away from that. Just like we talked about in our previous review, the one for episode 1, where Star Trek was supposed to be this optimistic, hopeful view of the future. And the last couple shows, Discovery and this one, have moved away from that, which I think is a little sad. I also think it's sad that I know what they're trying to do here. They want to make a more adult storyline, and I get it. But at the same time, I think it's a little sad because Star Trek was a science fiction show that was intelligent, and you could watch it as a family. You know, it wasn't insulting to your intelligence as a kid, and you could watch it without without your parent having to edit it for you. So I do think that's a little bit unfortunate. But anyway, that said, what did you think of this episode?
I really liked it. I thought that it went with the first episode very well for me. I liked how Picard went to the Enterprise and what they did there.
Well, he went to Starfleet. He went to Starfleet headquarters. Of course, the Enterprise. There's holograms of the Enterprise over that. Yeah, and the music was playing there. The music, the Jeri Goldsmith theme from Next Generation, of course, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which you've seen, and that was a neat moment, certainly. Yeah. And then he had to have a visitor's pass, which was kind of funny. I mean, they played that for humor. Anything else?
I liked how they went back and forth between Picard and the twin sister.
Right, so they're telling the two divergent storylines which are eventually going to come together. And that's a little different. I mean, usually, for the most part, the Next Generation episodes were focused on our heroes, let's put it that way, with a little bit over there, but this is definitely some different storylines which are all gonna, the threads are gonna come together at some point. I'll tell you what I thought was interesting. When he went to talk to the Admiral, it was very reminiscent of the scene in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which we just watched, where Kirk went to the Admiral and sort of was pleading to be able to take the Enterprise out and go search for Spock. And he said, you know, Spock gave his life and I owe it to him. It was a very similar plea by Picard asking to have a ship so he could go out and if there was any chance of rescuing part of Data because he gave his life and soul and body for Starfleet. Very, very similar scene, I thought. And we have just watched Star Trek 3, so that was fresh in my mind. I really like that Romulan couple that are sort of caretakers at the vineyard with Picard. I liked them in the first episode a ton, and I thought, I don't want to get too attached to those characters because I don't think they're going to be around long term because I don't think they go into space with him. But they were in this one, and we get a little more information. They're part of the Tal Shiar, which is the Romulan, secret service. And, the one makes the comment, nobody can protect you from the Tal Shiar except Tal Shiar. They are witty, they are funny, they are clever, they're such great characters. And I loved them in the first episode. I liked them even more in this episode. And I so much want them to be a part of the entire series, although I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to see him until he goes into space. And then I don't think we're going to see him anymore. I think that's sad because I really like them. How about you? Yeah,
I really like them. I like the way they argue. It's a funny argue.
That's some of the best written stuff in the show. And they're great. They're both great in their parts. She takes him to Dodge's apartment, and she's going through it, and you could see her skill level. And then she's so witty, and it's like they're an actual married couple that have been together for years, her and the husband. The way they banter back and forth and, play off of Picard. So I really think that's a great piece of the show. I'm hopeful that as he goes into space, the crew has as good a chemistry as he has with the two of them, because I'm very interested in that storyline. The doctor that comes isn't Dr. Crusher, ironically. It's a different doctor who comes to talk to Picard because he needs to go to space, so he had to have a physical. So he sent his medical evaluation to this doctor, and the doctor shows up. And he doesn't give him the best news. He basically alludes the Irumodic syndrome that was part of the last episode of The Next Generation, the series finale, sort of comes back in this episode. And it's unfortunate that it didn't let Dr. Crusher come back. They used this doctor, and they referenced him as having been Picard's crewmate on the Stargazer, which was his command before the Enterprise. So they kind of link it in that way. So it works. I mean, it's okay. He's a fine character. It's just, I think, it would have been better if it was Dr. Crusher for us as fans. We get some more storyline, and there's definitely this this undercurrent of what's going on with this Romulan Secret Service being on Earth, and it seems to have it's in Starfleet. There's this conspiracy goes into Starfleet. What did you think of that scene? Now, I talked a little bit of how it reminded me of the Star Trek 3 scene, but we didn't really talk about it. What did you think of that scene between Picard and the Admiral where he asks for the ship?
I thought that it was interesting. I thought that Picard might have been really upset, and I thought that he would have done what Kirk had done and gone get the ship anyway.
He stole a ship. Well, he's going to do that. I thought it was a very powerful scene between two very powerful actors. They really go at each other pretty well there, and you can definitely feel the tension between the two. And again, that was a scene where I had to edit part of it for you because it wasn't appropriate, but it's okay. We're able to do that, and you're still able to get what's going on. You get the gist of what's happening. Very powerful scene, very effective. You can see why Picard is now going to, go this other route. Now, again, back to the Tal Shiar couple that are his caretakers. The man suggests that he take Riker, LaForge, and Worf. And Picard says, no, I thought about it, and they would certainly do it, but I don't want them risking their lives out of loyalty to me. So we're not we might see them, but they're not going to be part of the crew that he's going to go to space with, and we knew that. But it gives a reason for that. And we do follow a little bit of Daj's sister's story on the cube, and they're calling the cube the artifact. It's a Borg cube. We referenced that in episode 1, but we didn't say what it was. We just said that final reveal. So it's a Borg cube. They're calling it the artifact because it's no longer connected to the Borg collective.
Right.
So there's scientists here that are reclaiming the species that were assimilated by the Borg. They're removing all the Borg technology from them and freeing them of it. But you know that something's going to come of this. And we also find out a little bit more about this Romulan that takes an interest in Daj's sister. And there's a little bit more that goes with that. So we find out some more there. So are you still enjoying this?
Yes, I am. I think I liked the first episode a little bit more. But I did like this episode.
Right. This one's a little darker, a little heavier. You couldn't see as much of it because I had to be careful of what you watched here. I agree that the first one was lighter. I think it's still moving. It seems like a good storyline. There's still an essence of The Next Generation here, and they still reference back to it, whether it's with music or actual, references in the script about it. So there's enough of an essence of The Next Generation, and certainly the acting is really, really very effective here. They're very good actors that we've got involved, and so it really does draw you in. So I'm still involved. I'm still interested. I want to see the next episode. Again, when this one was done, you were like, you reacted because you wanted more. As did I. So again, this isn't your father's Next Generation, but it's an interesting evolution for those characters in that storyline. So I'm still intrigued. I'm still liking what I'm seeing. All right, yummy or crummy for you?
Yummy.
And yummy for me.